had a little ribbon cutting, and we're going to acknowledge some folks, which I like doing. I don't know how I got this job. I really love working with people. The people make my life. So we're about a ding away here. And so I'd like to welcome everyone coming to Hanover Park for our board meeting tonight on Thursday, May 18th, 2023 at 7 p.m. The board will be very pleased to know we do not have executive session tonight. And, come on, 7 o'clock, there we go. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Trustee Gutierrez? Here. Trustee Porter?
Here.
Trustee Kunkel?
Here.
Trustee Bancole? Here. Trustee Prigge?
Here.
Trustee Hussaini?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. If you would please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any changes to the agenda? Hearing none. Moving on. Oh, we got to vote on that, don't we? Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee Hussaini?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Prigge?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Very good. Town hall session. We have one individual who is signed in for town hall session. Troublemaker in his own right. A good friend to this village. And we missed you at your closing out ceremony last meeting.
Yeah, I was sorry I couldn't be here.
Jim
Do
Kemper, please.
you want me to introduce myself? For the record, Jim Kemper. So it was very hard for me when you called to approve the agenda not to say so moved after 12 years, right? So, and it's very different being on this side of the dais. So, but with that, I want to congratulate the newly elected, which if I would have been here on the 4th, I could have done that. Congratulations to you. And I will wish the new board well. And it looks like it's going to be an exciting year. So with that, thank you. And I'll see you all around.
That's it?
What else do I want me to say?
All right, now it's my turn.
Thank you.
It's a great pleasure on my behalf and the behalf of the board you've served with for 12 years to recognize your dedicated, distinguished service to the people of Hanover Park from 2011 to 2023. Jim, appreciate it.
Slide your hat over here.
He's smiling. You must.
I know, I will.
This is the board.
If I can just take a minute before you do that, Jim, having served with you for the last 8 years, I think we're the original odd couple. Our politics could not ever be more different in terms of that, but we have managed to put those differences aside for the betterment of the people of Hanover Park, and we work together on many advancements, many ordinances, many progressive ideas to better the lives and the experience of both the businesses and the families and the people of Hanover Park. And it's been an honor and a pleasure to share this dais with you for the last 8 years. And I wish you well in everything with your family, the grandchildren, and everything that's going on in your life. And truly count you as a colleague and a friend, and it's been a pleasure to work with you these
And
last
likewise,
8
it's
years.
been an honor, Trustee Porter, and I think we complemented each other very well.
Yeah.
And I look forward to, even though I'm not elected to the board, to be working with the board members in the future. So with that, I'll go through, run the gauntlet.
Walk the gauntlet. Oh, what we do to each other. Do you have these proclamations? Go up there. Is Joan there? I won't do Joan. Joan and Rick. Sox or Cubs?
He said stop. It's Terry.
You're not getting away with these. Sox or Cubs?
Sox. Unfortunately, we're one Sox member down on the board.
Yeah, that's it. We're just happy you work tonight. Okay. I would like to invite Joan Ipjon, come on up with your family, Joan? Yes. I've known Joan for more than a few years.
Probably 34.
34, yeah, there you go. I think my wife hired Joan some years ago,
Yeah.
and she should be the mayor. I've always said that, right?
That's
Here I
right.
am. We'll get a nice photo here. Whereas Joan Ipjon was hired as clerk typist on May 22nd, 1989, and in the late 1990s, her title changed to village service representative. And whereas on August 7, 2002, issue of Examiner newspaper, an article was written about Joan, who was honored by the village board at their August 1st, 2002 meeting for her honesty.
You should all be on.
Whereas during Joan Ipjon's career, she has been instrumental in the transfer tax stamp process, has provided excellent customer service, and has received multiple compliments from village residents and fellow employees. Whereas Joan Ipjon has been described as one of the hardest working people that others have been around, and someone who truly cares about the residents of Hanover Park. And whereas the Village of Hanover Park would like to recognize Joan Ipjon, who is retiring on July 7th after 34 years of service with the village. Now, therefore, I, Rodney S. Craig, President of the Village of Hanover Park, do hereby thank Joan Ipjon for a compliment to the Village of Hanover Park and urge all to congratulate her for her many years of dedication to the people of Hanover Park. Joan, what
Thank you.
great
Thanks,
service
Rob.
you have. Right.
Thanks for that.
All right,
Appreciate it.
we're gonna get a photo. We'll get a family photo here.
Whatever. That's fine.
How are we doing this?
Yeah.
We'll do it however it works.
However it works. Or you guys just want
No. Here, I'll
Let's take
here.
a step back and let me hand this to Joan, if we can
Okay.
do that.
Sounds good.
Sounds good?
Sounds good.
All right. Don't move, don't move.
More coming.
Okay, come on up. Look, you stay back, okay. Anyone else? So we're gonna bring, the finance department would like to join with us. Come on.
If you don't mind.
You're gonna miss Joan.
But I'm sure you'll be fine without me.
Let's even it up here a little bit, so people will.
Okay, are we ready? We got a smile? Okay. So, Joan, what most people don't know, I don't need to ask how come your socks.
No.
Because you have more things
Because
to
this
come
is a
to me.
blue.
You have to be Sometimes we'll.
We went to the games together.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it's been great. Please shake the hands of the board.
Okay, will do.
All right. Okay.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Good to see you, Bill.
Always welcome. Sure. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Bill, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Appreciate all of you.
And from Sherry, I'm giving you a hug.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Tell her I said hi.
I will, I will. Now I have a proclamation. I don't think Rick Herzog is here. Is somebody be accepting this for Rick? Barum, Barum, Barum. Did Rick work for you? No, okay. I was gonna give you a good luck now. Whereas Rick Herzog was hired in September 2nd, 2001, as a firefighter paramedic and has over 21 and a half years of full-time service and 7 years of part-time service with the fire department. And whereas Rick Herzog has maintained his paramedic certification for the past 31 years and holds multiple certifications, including Advanced Technician Firefighter, Firefighter Officer Certification, Vehicle and Machinery Rescue Technician, Hazardous Material Technician, and Fire Apparatus Engineer. If he was here, I'd mention about all these years with garbage collecting. That was part of, that's where he worked before. And I have fun with Rick. He's been around a long time, and I've known the family forever. So whereas Rick Herzog coordinated, maintained, and organized fire station supplies and materials for over 15 years, and whereas since 2007, Rick Herzog continually represented Hanover Park Fire Department at an annual Elgin Area Firefighter Memorial Service. And whereas Rick Herzog has received a commendation for 30-day deployment to Hurricane Katrina and participation in the Smarter Research Study, as well as was awarded Citizen of the Year in 2006. Additionally, he has received multiple company citations throughout his career for actions taken on emergencies, and whereas the Village of Hanover Park would like to recognize Rick Herzog, who is retiring on June 9th after 22 years of service with the village. Now therefore, I, Rodney S. Gregg, President of the Village of Hanover Park, do hereby congratulate Rick Herzog for his commitment to the village and urge all to congratulate him for his years of dedication to the people of Hanover Park. If you would, please share that with Rick.
Yes, sir.
And I'll have to go by his house and get a photo with him.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Now I have a proclamation recognizing local, state, and federal government employees. So do we have employees coming up for this? If you'd like to join me, whomever. And DS2? Well, we let anybody in the house. You know. Okay. Whereas local, state, and federal government employees contribute significantly to a quality of life for residents, these employees with the commitment to excellence and diversity of skills are an invaluable resource. And whereas public service is a notable calling involving a wide variety of challenging and rewarding professions, including providing vital family, health, and educational services, maintaining public safety, improving transportation, protecting our environment, and performing management activities which are essential to the efficient and effective operation of government. Whereas Public Service Recognition Week strives to inform our residents about the quality of people in government, especially on our own village of Hanover Park municipal staff, and their commitment to high ethical standards, and the valuable services they perform to encourage excellence among public employees to promote interest in civil service careers. Whereas commendation may provide an opportunity for all the residents of Village Halo Park to pay tribute to the profession and spirit of public service and to express our deep appreciation for the many contributions public employees make to our daily lives. Whereas the Village Hanover Park would like to recognize the following employees who have reached milestone anniversary in public service. Bob Winger, 50 years. Is Bob here? I think Bob likes his job a whole lot, 50 years. Let's see, who am I forgetting here? Dan Krasowski, 25 years. Santos Diaz, 25 years. You've been here 25 years?
Sir.
He's been hiding in the back room. Eric Forrest, 25 years. Eric, okay, you're here with us. Nicholas Rosberg, 25 years. Mark Montalbano, 25 years. Michael Fiscone, 25 years. Scott Edwards, 20 years. Larry Anselmo, 20 years. Sean Bachstadler, 20 years. Amy Alonzo, 20 years. Amy's been around that long? My goodness. I've been around too long. Yeah. Let's see here. Jesus Garcia, 20 years. John Stallings, 20 years. Rafael, I never can get this. Ginowuski. I slaughtered that, didn't I? 20 years. Now, therefore, I, Rodney S. Craig, President of Village Hanover Park, hereby proclaim the week of May 7th through 13, 2023 as Public Service Recognition Week in the Village of Hanover Park. I encourage all of our residents to recognize the crucial role of public employees. Where's the clerk? Do I have enough copies for everyone? Oh, that's good. All right, so here we go. We'll do this down the avenue until I run out. Thank you. Yes, it's always good to see you, buddy. I have more stories on Diaz than most of us. But it's not because you're not doing your job, it's because you do an excellent job. Let's squeeze together and get the photo, please. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Very good.
Okay.
Whew. Okay, thank you.
Mayor Rodney Craig, they were all Cubs, all of them. I questioned all of them.
They were all Cubs?
They're all Cubs.
Must have been Diaz. Thank you all for coming. So, any Pacific Islander Heritage Month? Are you the only Pacific Islander? Pardon me? You and Shubra? You want to come up and I'll read this? Or do you want to pass? You know. see. Got my 2 cents?
You have one of yours by 50 cents.
I was waiting for that and to recognize that there is one more Asian.
Very good. Well, we have 3. I was expecting more this evening, but, you know. Well, I think last time we had like 10 or 12. Yes. Whereas Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month is observed during the month of May to recognize the contribution and influence of Asian Americans and Pacific Islander Americans to the history, culture, and achievements of the United States. And whereas Hanover Park is proud to be home to a large Asian American and Pacific Islander population, it contributes greatly to the prosperity and enrichment of the village. And whereas Asian American and Pacific Islander communities are deeply rooted in both the United States and Hanover Park, reminding us of both proud and painful chapters of our history. And whereas diversity represents one of our greatest strengths and recognizing the contributions and accomplishments of Asian Americans and Pacific Islander men and women, our village celebrates the importance of inclusion to building a brighter future for all our citizens. And whereas the village is committed to providing comprehensive support to ensure that Hanover Park is equitable and welcoming to all people. And whereas the Village of Hanover Park is proud to celebrate Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month and commemorate the essential contributions, sacrifices, and accomplishments that Asian American and Pacific Islanders have made to Hanover Park. Now, therefore, I, Rodney S. Craig, Mayor of the Village of Hanover Park, Illinois, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2023 to be Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month in the Village of Hanover Park, Illinois. Encourage all residents to join us in honoring the many contributions made by Asian American and Pacific Islanders. Thank you. Thank you. Very good. Signed by the mayor.
All right.
Oh. Very good. God, if you would, meet the board. Am I done now?
Mayor, you should know that they don't go for the Cubs nor the Sox. They don't even do baseball.
They abstain? That means they're Cubs fans. Thank you all. Oh, we haven't done that. Now we're gonna spend some money. Oh, you want those? Thank you. Wow, town hall session. But do we have?
You did that.
Oh, we already did that, didn't we? I jumped the gun on presentations. Okay. Village President's Report. Been a busy week. Monday I worked with staff and Herb Porter, and we did a video on Bike Week, which is on the village website. I don't know how to find things on the website, but I'm gonna need some IT training. But I know it's on there. I have there's a short video on my Facebook page. Herb did a fine dialogue, riding our bicycles and acknowledging Bike Week. Thank you, Herb, for joining with me. I made him nervous. We were getting close, but we were getting close to the time he had to hit his son's preschool. Oh, well, I'll get there. Yesterday was all day with Metra. Metra is aligned with the coalition. The coalition, Hanover Park is one of the communities from Bensonville to Elgin, along with DuPage County. And we are challenging the ECB report in the courts, as is Metra in the courts in Washington, D.C. So, looking for fairness, and there are times in a bureaucracy they follow all the dots and commas, and we're looking for fairness, and that's what you get before a judge, in my belief. Now I'd like to move by omnibus vote items on the consent agenda. And Bernie, should we have the clerk read these for the record? We haven't done that, but I think there was a state direction that came out that we should read it for the record.
Well, I think it's, I mean, you can read them for the record.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to.
Yeah, I'd like to do that. Okay. So those items on
What are we doing with the,
we are going to have the clerk, typically we just say 1 through 9 or something. And then because it's recorded, I'm asking that the clerk read the title of everything on consent agenda, so people know what's on consent. That's all. It's not a big deal. Are we okay?
Yeah, why the change?
Why the change? A number of, I've been talking to some other clerks in municipalities, and they've been doing that. I was at my Metro board yesterday, and they were doing that, and I said, so why are we doing that? And they said, well, we think with direction from video, when people dial in, they'd like to hear for the record what it is going to consent instead of just 1A7, 1A8. So just a little change. Didn't warn anybody, but.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, if you would read items going into consent.
Items on consent agenda, 7A-A.1, move to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting of April 20th, 2023. Agenda item 7-8.2, move to pass a resolution authorizing an intergovernmental agreement between Community College District 509, Elgin Community College District 512, William Rainey Harper College, the Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership, and the Village of Hanover Park. Agenda item 7-A.3, move to pass an ordinance approving a 5th lease extension for retail space in the Hanover Square Shopping Center to Elgin Community College. Agenda item 7-A.4, move to authorize the DACRA software maintenance payment with DACRA Tech LLC for $31,952.65 and authorize the village manager to execute the necessary documents. Agenda item 7-A.5, move to authorize the village president and village manager to execute the agreement dated May 1st, 2022 to April 30th, 2025 between the Village of Hanover Park and the SEIU Local 73 part-time firefighters. Agenda item 7-A.6, move to pass a resolution authorizing the continued participation in the Northern Illinois Municipal Electrical Collaborative, NIMEC, and authorizing the village manager or her designee to enter into a contract for the purchase of electricity from the lowest cost electricity provider for the purposes of street lighting. Agenda item 7-A.7, move to pass an ordinance authorizing the renewal of and continuation of aggregation of electrical load and the electrical aggregation plan of operation and governance for the Village of Hanover Park and authorizing the renewal of the aggregation program for electrical load. Agenda item 7-A.8, motion to approve a purchase order to Sound Incorporated in the amount of $94,722 for the replacement of the audio and video system in the Emergency Operations Center of the Police Department and authorize the village manager to execute the necessary documents. Agenda item 7-A.9, motion to approve the proposal from Rubino Engineering Incorporated for material testing for the village's 2023 resurfacing project in the amount of $24,721 and to authorize the village manager to execute the necessary documents. Agenda item 7-A.10, motion to establish a purchase order to Rotary Lifts of Madison, Indiana for the purchase of a replacement 10,000-pound vehicle hoist in an amount not to exceed $33,000 and authorize the village manager to execute the necessary documents. Agenda item 7-A.11, move to pass an ordinance establishing temporary outdoor dining pursuant to this ordinance and administrative policy. That concludes the agenda items on the consent agenda.
Thank you. Have a motion to approve consent items 7A1 through 7A11.
So moved.
Second. A motion and a second. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Triggy?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. 7A12, motion to waive competitive bidding and accept the proposals from Lepardo Companies, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $181,661.22 for the replacement of the triple basin in the police department and for painting and replacement of carpet at Fire Station 15, and authorize the village manager to execute the necessary documents.
So moved.
Motion? Do we have a
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
Could the board please be provided with more information on why we are waiving competitive bidding?
This item is through the Sourcewell. It's a cooperative through, they go through the process of bidding the item out, and then we get that cost. So Sourcewell has been used by the village for many years and is part of the DMNC, I believe, as well. So
Part of the who?
DuPage Mayors and Managers.
I don't think your mic is.
Oh, sorry. Were you able to hear me?
Yeah, you said DMMC?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have any prior experience with working with Leopardo Companies?
Yes, Leopardo's the one who did the police station. They built the police station. I think they've done some other projects, including, I believe, fire station, right? One of them? I believe, yeah.
I can understand, I'm sorry, did you-
Yeah, go ahead.
the replacement of the triple basin, but for painting and for carpeting, we didn't think that we could go around the cooperative or not use the cooperative for that and put that out for a competitive bid.
Well, this is, I mean, to go out for competitive bids outside of a cooperative, we would have to put together bid documents and go through a process of posting it and receiving bids, and the job is pretty straightforward. And it was bid through Sourcewell. If you recall, both of these projects were delayed. They were on this budget to be done last year, and it was pulled from the agenda, given the recommended vendor who is going to do the work at that time, so.
How many
This is a
projects
different vendor.
do we handle through Sourcewell? How much of our business do we funnel?
I don't
to
know if I've
Sourcewell?
seen them used this year. We haven't used them this year, have we?
We use them on a handful of projects every year. Oftentimes, they're smaller projects. You know, HVAC repair, interior building stuff. That is a great program to be able to do those types of projects rather than trying to get 5 different vendors in to walk around the building, explain to them what's going on. We can use Sourcewell. They've got a vendor that has the best price for it. They come in and give us a quote based on the agreed upon prices.
And what do we pay Sourcewell for this service?
We don't pay them anything.
Okay. So there's no cost to the village?
No.
For the service provided by Sourcewell? Okay.
Thank you.
I've asked Northwest Municipal Conference to come and give us a briefing on the co-ops and how they benefit us and how we can do that. So I sent that out a recent message to the board. So we're going to schedule that in the near future. I think it's a huge benefit and cost savings wise when we use these municipalities with these co-ops. So we'll learn more about that in the very near future. Madam Clerk, if you would call the roll.
Trustee Kunkel.
Yes.
Trustee Biancoli.
Yes.
Trustee Prigi.
Yes.
Trustee Husani.
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez.
Yes.
Trustee Porter.
Yes.
President Craig.
Aye. 7A.
Motion passes.
Thank you. 7A13, motion to pass an ordinance authorizing the second amendment to the FY 2023 budget of the Village of Hanover Park. 2/3 vote for the corporate authorities is needed.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So on the memo page, so I'm looking at page 144, the first thing that would be a part of this amendment is allocating additional funds for the vacant assistant village engineer position. So it looks like we initially allocated $35,000 to this, but now we're amending it so that the budget is now at $158,000. And so I guess I'm just looking for a little bit more information on either hiring or how many
Sure.
times we'll have to, how many more times we'll have to amend. It's looking to be quite costly. And so just additional information on that process would be helpful.
So we've been trying to hire a assistant village engineer. We've had that position open for quite a while. We believe that we're very close to hiring somebody for that position. This is, as you know, the busiest time of year for construction projects for the village, as well as we have our largest construction capital program this year to be done. And so we have been hiring, we have 3 firms as outlined here, engineering firms. They're all handling different components of the engineering. Up to this point, we've been using the salary line item for that position, so we haven't had somebody in there, so the funding was available. The concern was that we, because these firms, our hourly rates are higher than if we had an on-staff employee, they were going through that line, that funding faster than was available. So that's why we're doing this. We have a budget amendment for for engineering services. John, I'll have John talk through the different work that each of the firms is doing. And this is on an as-need basis only. So all three of these contracts, if and when we hire an on-staff assistant engineer, then we can step back from we won't continue to use as much of their time on an hourly basis. But
Sorry,
go ahead.
before John goes, so I guess my concern is that we've already run through the salary of the person that was supposed to be there. So could we talk a little bit more about recruitment, hiring, where we're posting, what are the steps that we're taking to fill this position?
Okay, do you want to first say how much of,
The one that we're using right now, the one that I'm using for the salary is only for the period of 6 months. So from July to December, it's still in the salary of the village engineer assistant. So the only thing, the amount that I use for that position is from January to June. Because I believe that we're not gonna hire anybody until June. Probably in July we will.
so I think what Remy's saying is the funds are available for an employee when we hire them in anticipation of hiring somebody in June through the end of the year. The funds will be there for that position. But Barry, do you want to talk about the process and the difficulty you've had hiring this position?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, I'm happy to say we have someone who is accepted. We just have to get them through the process so they can begin employment. So unfortunately, we went through that about 2 months ago. We had someone who was hired, and by the time they passed everything and we had their start date set up, and before they started, they actually informed us shortly before they started that they were not going to be joining us after all. So keeping our fingers crossed that that doesn't happen again.
And so these additional funds are to make sure that the engineering services that we need will be completed while he goes through onboarding? Is that what this is for?
Completing hiring of the individual as well as onboarding that individual.
So this includes their salary as well as additional engineering services that are needed for these coming months?
So we do have we have a line item for additional engineering services, consulting services, in addition to those that are on staff for work in the budget. So we have on-staff engineering funds, and we would have consulting engineering funds in another line item. So there will always be engineering services that we're paying for that are for somebody not on staff. In this case, we've been bringing on additional engineers to cover that time as well.
So
for the
what?
vacancy.
Okay.
So
thank
maybe
you.
John can talk through how we're using the different engineers. Would that be helpful?
Well, I guess I'm just trying to get a time frame because Barry's just said that, fortunately enough, we've hired someone. So is this for the next 2 to 3 months? Longer than that?
Do you want to explain? I think it would be helpful if John could explain how
Yeah.
we're using.
Thank you.
So these contracts, we've got them set up with enough hours that if we didn't have someone onboarded soon, they'd be able to, these contracts should take us through the end of construction season, so through the fall. When we got these agreements and we put together the board packet, we didn't even have anybody interviewing for the position. So we wanted to cover our bases to make sure we had engineering staff or engineering consultants and funds available to pay them through the end of construction season. We've been fortunate enough that since this packet was prepared, we actually had interviews and are still hopeful that they'll actually show up.
I hope so too. Thank you.
So
Thank you, Barry.
Explain how we're using each of the, there's a couple different engineering firms on here, so do you want to explain
Yeah,
like how Jeremy is in?
We've got one, the BLA Engineering Services, that's been in front of you guys. I think this is now the second time that the contract has been extended. He's the consultant from them, the engineer from BLA, comes into our office usually about 4 days a week and helps out running our projects, making sure projects get out to bid and all of that. And now we're moving into construction, so he's helping our engineering technicians go out and mark out the streets and everything like that and get the projects moving along. The HR Green Engineering Services they help put together several sets of plans for us and are helping with coordination of doing design work, more along those lines. And WBK Engineering Services, that's a new one we haven't brought to the board before. They are, the consultant with them has public works director experience as well as village engineer director experience, including for the Village of Hanover Park. So knowing that we might be without an assistant village engineer for a while, that we thought that might make sense to be able to bring them in for a day or two here and there to help out.
And again, only on an as-need basis.
Yes.
The other thing is HR Green's contract. They're just here wrapping up some work that has already been started. And
Yeah.
so we don't see them moving specifically on these projects. They're more in the wrap-up finishing
So
stages.
when we hire this assistant engineer, will it eliminate the need for these consultant services? Or will we continue on with these consulting contracts in addition to hiring the assistant engineer?
If you want me to talk.
Go ahead.
There'll be a transition period as the new individual is brought on and, onboarded, explained how everything's run, and we will be eliminating many of those hours and tapering them off.
So at some point,
Fingers crossed that the new person comes in and can, take the reins and really get going with these things, so we won't use up all of these dollars. That's the goal.
The contracts will still be in place, though. We can't afford to start our construction road programs, water main projects, and then not have the engineering support to see them through. So our goal is to have on-staff employees in the engineering positions, but again, we do have hours that are outside, whether we need engineering for a specialty expertise that goes beyond what current staff has or just from a workload perspective. So those will be in place and we'll have to manage those budgets accordingly. So if we go over in engineering, we'll have to find the funds somewhere else to offset that.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Sounds like we could use 3 more engineers. These gaps are really hurting us. And I know it's budget driven, so.
It's just, I know Barry didn't say it, it's one of the most difficult positions that we have had to hire, that in the village planner. And all communities are having a very difficult time hiring for those positions.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Trustee Hussani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Motion passes.
7814, motion to approve the contract with Tandem, Inc. for a refresh of the Village Hall administration area for the amount of $298,900 and authorize the village manager to execute the necessary documents.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Trustee Hussani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
And Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. I guess I'll continue cleaning my office. 7815.
I'm sorry.
You didn't call me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Trustee Porter.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm used to having you here.
All righty. 7815, motion to approve the contract for various engineering services dated May 2nd, 2023 with WBK Engineering in the amount not to exceed $63,300, authorize village manager to execute the necessary documents.
So moved. Second.
The motion is second. Discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee Husani.
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez.
Yes.
Trustee Porter.
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel.
Yes.
Trustee Bancole.
Yes.
And Trustee Priggy.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Motion to approve the contract for engineering assistance. Did I just read that one? 7A16? Okay. Motion to approve contract for engineering assistance dated April 26, 2023 with BLA in the amount not to exceed $112,640 and authorize village manager to execute the necessary documents. You explained all three of these at the same time. Okay, I get it.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Gutierrez.
Yes.
Trustee Porter.
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel.
Yes.
Trustee Bancole.
Yes.
Trustee Priggy.
Yes.
And Trustee Husani.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. 7A17, move to approve the warrant 5/18/2023 in the amount of $620,929.10.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Porter.
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel.
Yes.
Trustee Bancole.
Yes.
Trustee Priggy.
Yes.
Trustee Husani.
Yes.
And Trustee Gutierrez.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. 7A18, move to approve the warrant paid in advance 4/28/2023 through 5/11/2023 in the amount of $384,969.24.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Kunkel.
Yes.
Trustee Bancole.
Yes.
Trustee Priggy.
Yes.
Trustee Husani.
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez.
Yes.
And Trustee Porter.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Village Manager's Report. Juliana, fire cost recovery ordinance information?
You want to start there? Okay.
Point the
village-
microphone toward you.
Pardon me? Not? Okay. So several meetings ago, the board, we had a resident come before the board to speak to fire cost recovery. The board asked to have a discussion and a summary of how that worked. So I asked the fire chief to put together a summary, which is included in your packet, and he is here this evening to present to you and have a discussion about that process and the history behind it. Summary?
Sure. Hello, everyone. Good evening. So before you in the informational agenda item is that I laid out our history of where we started from when we came over to the village as a fire department in 2000 and began billing for ambulance services. And then there were a couple of significant dates where we have changed those rates, or we've expanded the areas where we bill. So as far as the rate increase, that's been traditionally done every 2 or 3 years, and that is driven by, I think some have heard this information before, a billing survey that's done in the Chicagoland area. That is driven usually by the Medicare rate, and which is changed from time to time by the federal government. Then that usually precipitates a change in billable rates by people that provide ambulance services for fire protection districts or municipalities. That survey then goes around. We participate in it annually, and we look at it annually as to what is the going rate, what are usual and customary for those services, specifically to the ambulances and ambulance transporting. And then, like we've said, every 2 or 3 years, we'll analyze that. We'll see what the potential cost increases will produce as far as increasing revenue. And then that's usually brought before in conjunction with the budget or close to the budget time frame of the year. We usually look at those at the same time. The second piece of the cost recovery ordinance that had come into question on March 2nd was the billing for fire services. That is something that we've had in our the municipal code for some time to bill for things such as a structure fire or false fire alarm fees or some specifics. In 2019, we expanded that, and you see in the memo, in 2019, we then began to bill for motor vehicle accidents, technical rescue response, helicopter landing zone setup, and fire cause and origin. And really what was pertinent in 2019 was the fact that we were addressed by our billing company that these were usual and customary services that insurance companies would be willing to pay for those services. So it's always been our intent, and what we've driven our rates to is to meet that number or meet that cost, which is considered usual and customary that an insurance company would pay for. And whether that is your homeowner's insurance in the case of a structure fire, or if it is a health insurance based on an ambulance bill, or your car insurance based on a motor vehicle accident. And that's really been a large driver of our analysis of the costs that we then ask for approval to begin billing our customers. So that's a summary, but I'm absolutely, obviously here to answer any questions of the board.
And do you want to explain that we use an outside agent?
Oh, yes, this is all done through third-party and ambulance billing company, which that brings into the very intricacies of medical billing and the complications and the specifics and essentially penalties if you get it wrong when you have the ability as a provider to bill Medicare and Medicaid specifically, but also to make sure that it's consistent, it's accurate, and that those services are rendered.
So what is the interaction between the third-party company that you just spoke of and the actual resident in terms of billing? Or is that interaction strictly between that third party and the insurance company? Or does the resident actually get involved in the billing? Can you explain that process?
It can be different, Trustee Porter, based on the case. I'll say that, let's take ambulance billing, for example. Ambulance billing, because it deals with your medical insurance, and there's a high percentage of a chance that you were transported to the hospital. Our billing company has a business agreement with us and access to patient registry information at the hospital on behalf of the patient that gets them direct access to their insurance company, so that our billing provider can bill the insurance company directly. Typically, in those cases, the patient may never even see a bill, or it's how their insurance company handles it, or the charges are paid for by their insurance company before there's any other due or balance or communication with the patient that we transported.
And by insurance companies, is this commercial insurance, or would this be persons on Medicaid,
All of the above.
Medicare,
Yep.
all forms of insurance?
Any type of coverage of medical insurance. And that's one where, obviously, if we transport you to the hospital, we know that the hospital, they have a whole division that's trying to register you and get your insurance information. As an emergency provider, that's not usually our first bit of work that we do on the scene. We're there to stabilize the patient, address critical health care, and to treat the patient rather than get insurance information. But the billing company does that through the hospital. On the other side of the cost recovery ordinance, which you see is billing for a structure fire or for, let's say, a traffic accident, that is the case where our third-party billing company contacts you or will send you an invoice and ask you to submit it to your insurance if we don't have that information. If we get that information, then they will also directly bill the insurance company first.
So the first contact is the insurance company?
We attempt that to be in all cases, absolutely. If we have insurance information, yes.
So just to clarify, so the village plays no role in billing?
We don't
it's all-
directly bill anyone for those services that are in those traditional fire cost recovery or ambulance billing.
Okay. So we may not directly bill, but do we set the terms as to how much is being charged? Or is that the billing company?
Yes. No, we set that.
Village board.
And
We
that's,
set that.
and that's what's in the municipal code, and that's what we would bring forward to the board for a vote of approval.
Periodically, there's adjustments, so we've come to the board with recommendations based on industry and coverage and standard coverage to the board. So we haven't done that since, I believe, 2019.
Correct.
So is that what's covered in section 4674 here
It was included in your packet.
Yes.
in this
Yes.
packet?
That's the portion of the municipal code that sets those fees, exactly.
And what are the metrics that we use, the data that we use to come up with that again? Is it comparables or what do we do?
Yep, that was the explanation. Just to reiterate, it's that survey that is done of Chicagoland area providers billing for the same services. And we try to maintain a middle-of-the-road approach. We make sure that we're not the highest, and we're typically below 50% if you take the 50% as the median or the middle of all of those amounts.
So when we set these prices, let's say for ambulance services, and we set these prices, is it taken into consideration the distance that's traveled from where the patient is picked up and how far they've traveled to the closest medical facility? Would that be a variance?
Yes.
Would that cause a variance in the rate? Was there, and I was looking, I thought I saw something, is there, okay, I see where it's $15 per mile transport by ambulance?
Correct.
Is that generally across the board?
Yes. And that's driven by the similar rate is what Medicare will reimburse you for travel per mile.
And is there a cap on that? So if it's $15 per mile, is there a cap on what that fee could be?
No, it's based on the amount of time of area or distance that we travel. However, because we're an emergency service primarily, almost, if not all of our transports are to the closest facility, which are traditionally our hospitals that are closest to the boundaries of Hanover Park. There are a few instances where we bypass those closest hospitals, and that's based on patient condition. Those are more rare calls, but they're life-threatening calls, such as going to a level 1 trauma center or going to a burn center.
Yeah, because I guess what I'm concerned with is that on most automobile policies, there are limits of liability for certain services. And if I'm looking at the medical services that we're charging for, let's say number 1 says $525 for basic life support, services with non-emergent transport is $1,100, and on and on and on, and it lists the different charges. Then on top of that, there's a $15 per mile fee of just the transport, not the services notwithstanding. So that can really add up to a significant bill. And depending on, let's say, the general auto policy, let's say if it was an auto accident and someone has limits of liability for bodily injury or bodily harm and their limits of liability, it seems that a person could actually reach the maximum of their limits of liability and then be exposed to, to a bill that would exceed what the insurance company can cover for them.
This portion that we're speaking of, that $15 per mile, and also those base rates based on the level of medical treatment, would be billed to your health insurance, never your car insurance.
Okay.
So this health insurance and those rates are, again, driven by what the base rate that Medicare sets as what's called usual and customary. And Medicare does their rates, and they publish those. And then once they're published as the usual and customary rate, which includes that dollar per mile for transport, then the private insurance companies will then set their rates at what they will be willing to reimburse the common provider. And then that's where it's a balancing act. We try to judge that as to when has that rate changed, when has Medicare changed, where they will now be reimbursing at a higher amount for the same service, for the same mile per travel. They may go from 15 to 18. They might be there now. I'm not quite sure what the rates are. And in those circumstances, we're constantly trying to reevaluate when should we come forward with a recommended rate increase.
And God forbid, but there's still a sizable portion of our population that is uninsured. So what happens to those persons that through some circumstance find themselves uninsured? What happens to that individual?
So self-pay does make up, we do have this data that's published and sent to us by our billing company. 14% of our all trips are 14% are self-pay, which they have identified as they are not covered by any type of insurance, whether it's Medicare, Medicaid, or private insurance. This is zero coverage at all. When we're speaking of these numbers, I will also add that this does not mean our residents This could be all patients. So this could be somebody that's in a traffic accident coming through town, or if our ambulance was requested mutual aid to go outside of Hanover Park and treat. So just to keep that in mind. Our procedure then is to bill the patient. Now, we have a procedure as well that allows for hardship requests. And we have always used the hospitals and their finance departments to assess whether or not somebody meets the needs of a hardship. The hospitals, and this works with ambulance billing specifically, because most people that we come into contact with an ambulance also has come into contact with a hospital usually, or we've transported you. And the hospitals do a really good job of vetting all of that information, checking to make sure you are who you are, your social security number, your income, and then they will assign a percentage of hardship to that patient. We request that letter to be presented to us, and then we will grant that hardship to that amount that the hospitals meet. And that can sometimes be 100%. We can write down that full amount. But that's what we have chosen over the years to use as a benchmark to make sure that it's consistent and it's applied the same to everyone, and then it's not as subjective on our part of the fire department. We don't have a lot of those skills to be able to do that work anyway on a day-to-day basis if we were to have to field all of those requests.
So just to clarify, so then once that hardship is granted, the village then pays those fees?
We write it off. So it's write down, then that we will not collect that amount from that patient.
Okay. Thank you.
And that's done all through our billing company. They provide that as a service, that once we give them the information that the patient is eligible for that hardship request, they actually do it as a write down and they document that, and that's a whole separate category of reporting that comes to us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Yep.
Very good. Thank you for that explanation. You obviously are a top. Juliana?
The next item is the monthly treasurer's report for April. Do you have any questions?
Just a comment, it looks good. All the rates are going up.
I know. I was
I'm
going to
like,
say,
what is-
you can see how the investments in the
Not
back
the
are.
fours, now they're fives,
Yes.
5.29, so I'm like, well, let me go. Doing a good job.
So yes,
That's from
so.
a former banker that understands all that stuff.
So if there's no questions on that, I'd like to thank the board for attending the groundbreaking today for the new Fire Station 16. This is the first facility we are building in a very long time. And so I want to take the opportunity to thank all of you for moving the project forward, as well as for all of the staff who have put in the hours to help design the facility. It's expected to be completed by the beginning of next year. So we will have a ribbon cutting, hopefully at that time. In the meantime, if you watch your updates in the back, we will be providing you with a schedule in increments, I believe, of 3-week increments. So you'll be able to see what work is taking place each time you get that. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or to the chief as to the progress. There is if you've noticed today, there is the construction trailer out there. There will be construction protective equipment out there. If you would like to go out to the site, you feel free, but you need to check in at the trailer first. Get the appropriate equipment, and then also so that they know you're on site. And then any of us would be happy to go out there with you as well. So again, I appreciate that. Second, I hope you like the new process of recognizing the employees who are retiring and who are experiencing milestones. It's something that we have put in place this year. It was Public Service Week last week, and so we're starting to see these retirements, and we want to make sure that you get a chance to see them off, and that they receive some recognition for, as you see this evening, the many years of service that they've provided to the village. So we will continue the milestones probably on an annual basis, but as we receive retirement notifications, we will be bringing those before you. And then We have, we are going to be participating, the College of DuPage, if you remember last year, they did the Frida Kahlo exhibit. This year, they're doing an Andy Warhol exhibit. And so we are going to, all the DuPage County communities have been invited to participate in doing activities and building off of the excitement of that exhibit. So you'll start seeing some Andy Warhol type events or accents to some of our events. Dave is going to work with the Special Events Committee to see if we can come up with some ideas on ways to incorporate that into our summer activities. If any of you have any ideas, and we'd welcome those. So it's just a chance to, the goal is community connectivity through the arts, and so that is what we'll hopefully be trying to do this summer as well.
Hopefully it won't be those Prince exhibits that they just got sued for at the Supreme Court.
I'm
Andy
not sure what
Warhol.
you're talking.
Yeah, Andy Warhol, the case just went before the Supreme Court where he plagiarized, or there was a lawsuit by the estate of Prince, and they ruled against Andy Warhol.
Oh.
No Prince exhibits. Yeah.
No, okay.
Prince the artist, not
Okay.
not the royals.
Okay. So that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And I certainly like acknowledging those who retire. I get to know the employees over time. Some of them have really contributed nicely. So I'm glad to see that being done. Let's see, village clerk's report?
Yes, on behalf of Village Clerk Merrill, she'd like to note that the Market at the Metro event was very successful.
Very
A lot of
nice,
fun. And she thanked all for attending and participating. The next event for the clerk's office is going to be Touch a Truck, which is in early June, followed by the car show in early August. Details will be forthcoming at a later time. That concludes her report.
Thank you. Corporation Council report?
I have no report, thank you.
Thank you, Bernie. Syed Husseini? Trustee Husseini?
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. Last Tuesday, we had an economic development meeting, and banks presented their small business products and FDIC insurance, Wintrust, and First Eagle Bank. It was quite interesting for everybody, and there were a lot of questions asked. And CRA particularly was focused on that in a community development reinvestment act that our banks follow, and that some information was given for people who are looking for smaller amounts. On the other hand, First Eagle covered what's FDIC insurance and how much a person can be covered. So it was quite interesting, and then I like that pattern that's happening at the economic development, that we are all from different backgrounds and experiences, and we're kind of sharing that there. Every board meeting is just talking about, committee meeting, we're talking about the experiences and the expertise that we have. So that's great to share that. We had Roselle and Hanover Park manufacturing meetup. This was one of a kind. This was the second time done by Roselle and joined by Hanover Park. This was attracting manufacturers and giving them information about the perks that are included and their interest as to what they can do for hiring, resources, and everything else. There were Choice DuPage there, Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, and Illinois Manufacturer Association was there, WorkNet DuPage was there, and I said this was one of a kind because, you know, when it's time to, fight and everything else, we come together. Like railway, a lot of suburbs are coming together, but when it's time to conquer something, that's time to win something, when it's time to sail, get a sale, get new revenue, I think we work in silos to achieve something as an individual village. But this was one of a kind to have two villages go together And I applaud Mayor Rodney Craig to make that effort to have Roselle be part of it, and Roselle making that effort to Hanover Park be part of it, to attract manufacturers. So that was a great effort done. Not next week, a week after that, May 29th is Memorial Day. So I want to say, happy Memorial Day. We have some veterans here, and I want to acknowledge that the freedom that we enjoy right now is because of the lives that are sacrificed then and now. So thank you for all your service that you do.
Thank you. Trustee Gutierrez.
Yes. The CIDC committee had a meeting, very exciting. We've been meeting and we've been having a quorum. We actually had 2 new visitors as well who are very interested in the committee. We agreed to work with Sister Cities on the Juneteenth event. And so we are sharing $100 with them to help them out for Juneteenth, and volunteering as well. And so we do want to volunteer. I know Zach and Val will be volunteering, and some of us would like to, if we could just do it in smaller increments as well. Very excited because this weekend, May 20th, is the MLK Build-Up Day. And am I right, Barry, that all the spots are filled for volunteering?
Yes. All 40 spots.
All 40 spots have been filled for volunteering for MLK Build-Up Day. That's like new. That's amazing. But just in case, if someone wants to volunteer, they can still stop by because maybe someone can't make it that day, etc. But it'd be great if we had our board there just to take some pictures and say hello to our volunteers. It's over at in Tanglewood, and if we go on Catalina Drive, the clubhouse as well. We are planning a lot of events, and the next one is the one we shared with you, this flyer. It's resources and refreshments, and this is on June 20th this year from 6 to 8. We've invited the 4 townships to come and to educate our public on what services they have. And so we're really honored that all 4 townships will be providing their social services representative or director to share information right here in this room, and we'll have some refreshments for folks as well. So this is a great opportunity to ask questions, to find out where your tax dollars go, and all the great work that our townships do.
Where are we meeting?
We are meeting here in this room.
Okay.
So that's coming up next month, June 20th. We're also planning September 19th, and I know Sister Cities is going to help us with this as well, is our Hispanic Heritage Month celebration. But what we're going to do is put on a celebration of our culture, celebrando nuestra cultura, celebrating our cultures. So it's going to be a celebration through arts, through dance, and history. So it's more like an exhibit with special artisans and arts and special dances as well. So we're planning that coming up in September. May 23rd is our Historic Committee meeting. We continue to work with the Heritage Marker Program, as we will be, we saw the markers, they're beautiful. So we'll be putting plaques at the church, on Old Church Road here, and the parsonage as well. So we've got these beautiful plaques. I mean, we worked together. We had to even decide what kind of screws were going to go in there. So we worked really hard on that, so that's happening. And then we're looking at our next locations being the Executive House and an Americ location as well, just to have some kind of marker there.
Pastor's very excited.
He is excited, yeah. So our next meeting is May 23rd, and I'm sure we'll be discussing as well the flower, the rose at the Americ House that we found. Just want to give you an update. I did send the board information on the immigration to Chicago in the last few weeks. At a meeting this morning, we found out there's over 1,000 asylum seekers hanging out at the police departments because shelters are all packed. As they continue to work with the city to see what congregate shelters will take place, these will be different than the ones that the state had, which were for longer terms. I know I was at ours for almost 9 months. This would be short term, but the buses are continuing to come, despite the influx being less every day, so that there's about 1,000. And from what I'm hearing is they're looking at different places to put the congregate housing and not just in the Chicago area. The fact is that most immigrants, 70% of people that are immigrants or asylum seekers to Chicago settle outside of Chicago. They don't settle in Chicago. So that's something to always keep in mind as we see them coming in. And that's the end of my report.
Well, thank you. You've been busy, I know. Okay, Trustee Porter?
Thank you. Kind of all over the place today, so bear with me. The mayor's already spoken to our bike ride in recognition of National Bike with the Mayor, National Bicycle Month. We were able to ride through the town from the fire station on Barrington Road to the to our village hall. And Jed and and Alan. I want to say Alex, but I knew it was Alan. Jed and Alan followed us in the truck and videotaped. We had a GoPro on the mayor's bike. I had my camera on my bike. We got some pretty good footage, and it's available on the village Facebook page, and I think also on the website. It was a lot of fun, and I will be riding my bike a lot more to functions here at Village Hall because it's not a bad ride for me. So thanks, Mayor, for inviting me to come out and do that. It was certainly a lot of fun. Speaking of having fun with the mayor, we were out at the Bartlett Chamber golf event today, and we had a foursome. We were the guests of Hanover Park Bank, the Wintrust Bank in Hanover Park. They invited us to be their guests. We were in a foursome with Bert and with Adam, and we had a great time. We had a really good time. The golfing wasn't that great from some of us, but I think there was alcohol on every hole that we stopped in. So after a while, it didn't matter. It didn't matter how the golfing went. We were just there for the ride. But it was, it didn't matter. Like I said, I don't know if alcohol helped or hurt, but it didn't matter after a while. But we had a great time. We had a great time. I know we're on public video and I'm talking about drinking alcohol, but it was a community event and it was a great time. So bear with us. We're still human and we do have fun.
And thank you for the collaboration on the bicycle event.
Yeah. A couple of things have come my way that I want to bring to the attention of the board and to the administration. A number of individuals have called me and have been talking to me about an initiative that some other communities have taken during the month of May called No Mow May, where you don't mow because it helps with the bees and with their pollination process. And I'm just thinking that we might want to consider that for next year to have a No Mow May. Like I said, certain individuals have called because I guess our enforcement team has been pretty diligent out this month, passing out warnings and so forth for people who have let their grass grow beyond the 8 inches that's allowed. And you'll probably be getting a lot of calls and complaints from people who've got no signs on their doors. And they say, what about No Mow May? Well, we don't have No Mow May. So maybe that's something that we can consider for 2024. And I'm thinking maybe having someone from the apiary come in and give a presentation and tell us how that can be a valuable asset to our apiary, since we're one of the few villages in the area that has a functioning and an active apiary. So maybe we can combine that and have them come in and produce that for us.
Well, maybe we can have the environmental committee have a discussion about it, Mayor, and then, I'm not sure who's the liaison.
I'm the liaison.
Oh.
Okay. Well, then I'll toss that your direction.
I did hear also some people say no mow May until Mother's Day, because every mother would like their lawn mowed for Mother's Day.
Yeah, see, there you go.
I know a mother that likes her lawn mowed.
The next thing that I wanted to bring up is that I'm on the executive committee for the NAACP, and one of the issues that they have recently been advocating for on a national basis is a review of the crime-free housing program. It's come under a lot of scrutiny for the fairness and some of the hardships of how that crime-free housing program is administered throughout the country, not just in our community, but throughout the country. It's just come under a lot of scrutiny. And I'd like for us to maybe consider having a review of our crime-free housing program. I don't know when we've done that or how long it's been since we've taken a look at it, but I'd just like to look at it and make sure that it's been done in a fair, equitable, and humane way that services all of our residents and doesn't cause any undue hardships because of maybe some stipulations that were written into the ordinance when it was first addressed that may or may not be necessary or may not even be germane to the current realities of people in rental situations. So I think a review of the ordinance is warranted under the new realities of where we are with rental and housing. I attended the Northwest Mayor and Managers Conference Bicycle Conference committee meeting on Tuesday, and I received, it was a wonderful meeting, and I received a bicycle pedestrian database that lists all of the grant opportunities for bicycle and pedestrian opportunities that are out there. I'm going to share that with Jonathan and TJ for them to look at. We had a great talk with some of the other communities, and some of them are receiving some pretty significant grants of over, $1.5 million, different grants for improving their bicycle pathways and doing that. And I just want to make sure that we're taking advantage of all the grants that are out there that will help us to move our bicycle pathway program, keep it progressing in the right direction. There's a lot of federal money that's out there with all the emphasis on green and reducing our footprint, our environmental footprints, and there's a lot of emphasis on becoming more bicycle friendly, and I know that's something in our strategic plan, that we have committed ourselves to, and just want to make sure that we are on the cutting edge of the grants that are available for bicycle improvement to do that. Was at a meeting for the Alignment for Collaborative Education, and they're doing really, really great work. They've received some significant sponsorships and donations. But one of the things that they're really pushing is student internships. And I know that we've talked about internships for students here at Hanover Park. I don't think that we've ever actually had any student interns or what the extent of that program is. But I'd like a report maybe to the board where you could bring us up to date on what our involvement is with student internships and, what we've done and, how extensive, our efforts are with internships with students. And
But we haven't.
at future meeting, can we have that maybe?
Yeah, I mean, we've had interns in the past. We don't have one currently this year. But would you just like to understand what level of internships we've had?
What level we've had and what our efforts are to maintain and to continue the program and advance the program.
With that school or just in general?
Not just with we have so many different schools, so just our general internship program as it affects all of our participating school districts.
Okay, go ahead.
The ACE Collaborative Agreement, I think, is what we looked into last, and we worked with them. They partnered with U46, and they have students who are in their STEM program who are eligible to apply. We looked into that a couple years ago, and we actually had, I forget her name now, but the director come out and speak to us about that.
Nancy Coleman.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened. And so
Okay.
I was just telling Juliana that I have not had an opportunity to pursue that
Okay.
this particular season, but yeah, I'm familiar with the program, and you know, they have it all set up, and we just need to provide them with internships and internship opportunities. So it is a well-established program, and I know that you know, we have had that discussion with them in the past.
Okay, yeah. Just an update, Barry, you know, just kind of let us know where we are moving forward. And again, I bring it up at this meeting, and maybe at a future meeting, you can address that for us and give us the information.
Sure. Chief just reminded, we had an intern through them last year in the fire department as well.
Okay, great, all right.
I know Bartlett has instituted through the U46 and the collaborative, an internship program, so.
Yeah, it's something that, as Barry stated, something that Alignment is very heavily involved in. And I just want to make sure that our Hanover Park students in our school districts, and our Alignment is more focused on U46, but, you know, as we all know, we have several different school districts that we work with. So I want to make sure that we're involved in all of Hanover Park with internship opportunities as they might exist in 211 or 54 or 20, you know, and some of the others that service our area.
Any one of 7.
Yeah, any one of 7, correct. I was at the Hanover Township Decennial Committee, which is a committee that was formed by the General Assembly for townships to review their programs, processes, procedures, and resources. We are scheduled to have 6 meetings. We're coming up to our the last meeting, and we've been reviewing all of the processes and programs of Hanover Township and what they offer, which is why I was pleased to see this effort by CIDC, where they're bringing together the townships to give an explanation and a discussion of what the townships have to offer. I'm always amazed at the things that the township is doing. But one of the things that Brian McGuire mentioned that I thought might have some value for us is that there was an intergovernmental meeting that they had for all the taxing bodies that they interact with. And I thought that, you know, with Hanover Park, since we are so split, as our pie is divided into so many slices, there might be some value in having an intergovernmental meeting with all of the taxing bodies, meaning the libraries, the school districts, and the highway services, the townships, and having an intergovernmental meeting and talking about some of the things, the intersectionality of issues that we have between those bodies and how we might be able to come together and collaboratively address some of the programs, some of the initiatives, and some of the directions that we want to go. He said that it was a very challenging meeting, but it was also a very fruitful meeting by bringing all those bodies together. And I just didn't know what the will of the board might be in terms of having that type of meeting and that type of discussion with the different taxing bodies.
Trustee Porter, we've started something similar with the Harper College Transportation Task Force. And so thanks with to the mayor, we were able to bring our 4 townships in. So I think if we can do it with transportation, I know we can do it with all the other services easily.
Yeah.
I don't know that it would be one mass, but it would be each individual, like social services, this service, et cetera. But it can be done. So the transportation portion of those, you can check that one off because it's happening.
We have another meeting coming up on transportation
Yeah.
with that. And the challenge, Herb, has been Hanover Park doesn't, you know, like Schaumburg's got one school district. You know, we've got the 7 school districts, we have the 4 townships, we have 3 park districts. We have a multitude of entities that is a real challenge to bring them all together. The 4 townships coming together is gonna be huge, because we do struggle with the transportation concern. We're bringing CMAP and PACE in to try to make sense of it, because every township has their own transportation model. And in Schaumburg, not only the township, but the city, with their population, can add entities on top of that. The city would not collaborate with us on that, but the township will. And so bringing that all, it's been a challenge to try to bring so many, Hanover Park is just, it touches so many things.
Yeah, and I don't mean to suggest that this would be something easily done, but I think something that would certainly be very worthwhile and valuable to the operation of our village and to keeping our residents and keeping the board members informed of what's happening. Because what I see happening so often is that these governmental bodies all operate in silos, and they're approaching the same issues, but they're all in their own silos. But if we could ever have an opportunity to come together and have some common discussions, then maybe, you know, we can have some more creative ways of addressing some of these issues and problems that we're facing, if we can, you know, break out of that. And so this might not be the perfect answer to that, and maybe there is a more perfect solution, but I'm saying let's start having that discussion and seeing how we can break free from that. And again, we talk about having the difficult, you know, discussions and the difficult things, and this might be one of those, but I'd like to think we could at least take a look at it.
I absolutely 100% agree, and I think it can be done. When we're looking at transportation right now, we've gone so far as trying, as agreeing to have from Palatine Township, Schaumburg Township, Bloomingdale, Wayne, Hanover, I'm missing one, Wheeling, together under one transportation dial ride type of deal, because they all have their own dial rides, right? And this one's only for seniors, and this one's only for senior and disabled, and this one's for everybody. And so we're working towards getting them on one data set that you can just get online, punch your address, and you can go from, you know, Palatine Township to Hanover Township using all their system. So if we could do it with transportation, I can't see why we can't do it with other services, et cetera. Because to be quite honest, some of us live closer to the food pantry in Hanover Township than we do to Schaumburg Township, but we belong to Schaumburg Township. And so it's very difficult for some of our elderly folk to make their way to Schaumburg Township every month when Hanover Township is right there in their neighborhood. So I think it's something, Trustee Porter, that can be done, and what it does, it always brings about how it best serve our community. It's not gonna be easy, but it's taken us how many months to get all the townships together? It's taken us, well, we started April of last year, so I think it was about a year, but it can be done, and I'm all for that.
And you mentioned the townships of Cook County that we're trying to work with, and we have 2 townships in DuPage that need to be included. So it's a complex issue. We've been trying to focus on the, you know, let's dial into the problem and bring those together on that problem. You know, we've got, what do we got, 4 or 5 library districts? You know, I mean, it's just like, the diversity of all that makes it, you know, you end up saying, well, why don't you guys get together in that problem, those guys get together in this problem, and we're in all these different meetings. But, you know, it's been I'm a collaborative kind of guy, and I like getting everybody in the room, but I haven't been able to resolve this one. I know it's been a long time. In the past, we tried doing this, and it was like, oh my God, because there were so many different entities of, like, you know, but good point.
Yeah, that's our
Doesn't
burden.
mean we give
That's our
up.
burden in Hanover Park with being so divided through, you know, so many different entities That's our cross to bear, I guess, you know, it's
Yeah,
our burden, so.
it is.
We'll have to deal with that. And finally, I just want to say that, back to the bicycle, on June 20th, we're going to be doing a bike ride in Hoffman Estates at Paul Douglas Trail. We'll be starting over at the Bell Works facility, the new Bell Works in Hoffman Estates, and we'll be taking a bike ride through Paul Douglas Trail just to get an idea of how they have developed that bike trail, and communities from all of the participants in the Northwest Mayor Conference on the Bicycle Pedestrian Committee will be participating. Last year when we did it in Des Plaines, we had about 20 individuals that rode the path, rode the trail, and you just get an idea of what communities are doing to build bike paths through their parks and through their streets and so forth. So it gives you a real live experience of a well-designed bike trail. So if anyone is interested in joining us on June 20th, let me know, and I'll pass your information along. It starts at 10 o'clock on June 20th. And if anyone would like to join in on that bike ride, there'll be representatives from Hoffman Estates, Streamwood, Palatine, all of the members of the Northwest Mayor Conference will be
So we
there.
kind of started that initiative, you know, this is bike week, right, you and I riding.
Yeah.
So let's build upon that with what you're, you know, let's push it out.
And that concludes my report.
You sure?
I can go on.
We spent the day together, had a good time. And Trustee Kunkel, if you would, please.
Yes, let's see, mine are kind of out of order here, but Veterans Committee met on the 6th. We have an initiative that we're suggesting to educate businesses on wellness of veterans as workers. Also, a women's warrior addition to the memorial outside the front. We're working on that. It's in a talking phase. The next is the Sister Cities Committee. Juneteenth event is on June 17th. On the website, it says the 19th. So a lot of people were asking me about that, because us as the Lions, we're gonna be there. It does say on the 19th on the website. But it is the 17th. It's from 12 to 5. It's in Ontarioville Park. And we meet next week. So ONCC, I will be the next one that I attended. I attended on the 5th. It was their general meeting. Basically, wind flows have been east-west about 50% east and west, 10% shears, which means your north-south winds. That affects the airplane. We've got 2 household complaints. They're in the northwest area of the town, closer to, I guess closer to Elgin than anything. They're way up in the very north. However, 80% of the flights have been going off of runways 1028, which is in the south airfield. The north airfield is 927. Does it say it? Does it say
They're
it on the
looking.
19th?
They're looking.
It's on the calendar on the website on the 17th.
So if you go under, I'll have to find
We'll
out
look
again.
and check all the text and everything.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay. People have been complaining about the airport noise from Schaumburg Airport. However, their airport noise is mostly during the daytime, and ONCC has nothing to do with Schaumburg Airport. And we're pretty much consistent across the board as far as towns around us. Everybody has about 2 or 3 households. These are verified households that are complaining about noise. Then on the tech committee of the ONCC, they meet on the 3rd Tuesday of the month. I met on the 16th, which was this Tuesday. FAA shut down the ONCC's recommended flight runway rotation. So they sent it back to us to work on it again. Took us 8 years to get to this one, but many going back and forth. And then 927 Center, they're gonna be opening that up. That's the longest runway on the north airfield. What they're doing right now is they're waiting for the burn-in of the lights, the navigational aid lights. for the pilots, because they can't land there because of the lights have to be burned in so many hours. That'll be done by the end of this year. They're hoping that by the end of this year it'll be done. So just to give everybody a heads up, even though it's a nice long runway, looks nice and everything, they can't land there at 927 Center. That's the newest one. That's the last runway that they completed at the airport there. And for anybody that's traveling, if you use a people mover, it's working great now. Just to let everybody know, it is working great. It's, in the beginning, when they redid everything, they were having a lot of problems off and on. However, if you park in the parking lot, try to take the train, they were using buses for everybody to travel back to the airport from their cars that they park. It's not working good. That's all I have for my report.
Thank you, John. Trustee McCollum?
Yes. So last week, myself along with two other elected officials that also serve Hanover Park residents, District 54 board member Mary Kay Prusnick and Schaumburg Township trustee Lauren Saturnis, all served during Habitat for Humanity's Women's Build Day. It's where women from various different organizations come together and work to build a house for a woman homeowner in DuPage County. And so this homeowner or upcoming homeowner just so happened to be a single mother who has children who are disabled, and it'll be the very first home she's ever owned. And this home is located in Elgin, and so it was really meaningful work. And this actually occurred through the Fox Valley Habitat for Humanity, but the DuPage Habitat for Humanity also has one coming up. So I know there's only one other woman on this board, but well, Chrissy as well. So encourage all my women board members to check into that. Also, on a similar note, the MLK Build Day is coming up this Saturday. It'll be in the Tanglewood neighborhood. The meeting time is at 9 a.m., I believe, near the Tanglewood Clubhouse. It's always a great event, and the beautification efforts that take place, are always needed and I think appreciated by the residents in that neighborhood. So again, would encourage my fellow board members to participate in that event. The amended budget requests that were on tonight's board packet reminded me that I believe over the course of the year, or past couple of years actually, that we've been having issues with the Metro parking lot in terms of the revenue that's been lost. I know that we've looked at different ways to sell parking passes, daily versus monthly. And so I'm wondering, now that we are, again, coming up on budget season, I'm wondering if the board could please be provided with just a comprehensive update on what exactly is going on with that parking lot. Are we still losing money on it? You know, the different actions that we can take to kind of not lose so much money on it. Essentially just an update on the Metro parking lot. Is that something that could be provided to the board?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I can put that in we can draft something up, we could put it in the update, or email it to everyone, and then if you have any questions, I'm sure we'll have a very in-depth conversation during the budget process on that, just because we're still underwater on that account.
Okay, thank you. And last but not least, Memorial Day is coming up. I believe we have an event that is coming up, that is organized by the Veterans Committee, but did just want to acknowledge that that important day was coming up. Always want to thank those that have served and those that have ultimately lost their lives while serving in the United States Armed Forces. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the acknowledgement of our veterans. Trustee Priggy?
Yes, last Monday, I attended the Barrington swearing in because my son was being sworn in as a trustee. And Mayor Darch said to tell you hello.
Said, say hello? Yeah, she's a nice lady. That concludes your report? Very good. We have no executive session, so I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Bancole.
Yes.
Trustee Priggy. Yes. Trustee Buzzani.
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez.
Yes.
Trustee Porter.
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
The time is 8:50.
I want to thank you all for a nice evening.